For the second part of practice exercise 2, we want to look at the measures of spread. So we've already looked at the mean and the median. I've completed age, you'll complete the remainder of the variables. And if we go back to our data, we can look at age again, analyze distribution, age at baseline. And we can see now, again, that we have the histogram. And remember, if you want to change the histogram to be horizontal, simply click the red drop down, go into histogram, and unclick vertical. So that will give us our histogram. And now if we want to get the measures of spread, we have a couple of options. For the mean, what goes with the mean is the standard deviation. We can see here it's 9.5658904. Similarly to our prior conversation about the need for multiple decimal places, when we're looking at years of age, one decimal place is certainly sufficient. So don't forget to round up appropriately. So a 9.56 becomes a 9.6. So I will enter in my standard deviation here. And now we can look at the remainder of the 5-number summary from the quantiles. So we already knew our median was 38. So incidentally, you do not need to ask for the median in your summary statistics. It appears with your quantiles. So there's our median of 38. We can see that over here. Now we need to look at the remainder of these numbers. So remember, our minimum value or our 0 percentile means that there's no other data. 0% of the data is lower than our minimum. That is a value of 18. Because our age was collected in whole numbers, we don't need to use decimal places here. Our 25th percentile means that 25% of our 240 observations, 25% of our 240 observations is less than this value, and that's a value of 30. If we go then to our median, and then we can hop right up to our 75th percentile here, and this means that 75% of our 240 observations are less than this value of 44. So we can go ahead here and put our 44 in. And then we go all the way up to the top. The maximum value in this data set is 61 years of age. It is also considered the 100th percentile. That means all of our data intuitively is lower than our maximum value. So it's lower than or equal to. So 61 is our maximum value. So we now have our measures of spread. So we have our measures of central tendency and our measures of spread. You'll go on to complete height, systolic blood pressure, and weight for all of these values, and then move on to the second part of the Practice 2 worksheet. This is where you need to evaluate the shape of the distribution. And from that, I want you to determine if you think that the data is symmetric or skewed, and then what summary measure would you use? Would you use the mean and SD or the 5-number summary? So in looking at age, we can see here, as we've already discussed, that our mean value is about 37, just shy of 38, so that would be right about here. And we can see there with our imaginary mean line that roughly the same amount of data is to the left and to the right of that mean value. You can also see that the difference between 61 and 38, if I get my calculator out here, my difference between 61 and 38 is 23 years. So my distance from here to here is 23 years. And then I can do the same thing from 38 to 18. So 38 minus 18, of course, is 20. So I do actually have about equal distance in our metric from the minimum to the median, and the median to the maximum is symmetric. And therefore, I am allowed to utilize the mean and standard deviation. Now, in looking at height, systolic blood pressure, and weight, you need to make the decision if these are symmetric or skewed, and depending upon your decision, what is the appropriate way to summarize the data. Remember, symmetric goes with mean SD, and skewed goes with the 5-number summary. So complete that for height, systolic blood pressure, and weight at baseline, and submit this as your practice 2.